As you guys know, I usually like to start the show with kind of a question, kind of some thoughts, and we talk about it. I go to the chat, see what you guys are saying about it too. And I was planning on doing that today. I had a fun topic planned for today because I figured, look, it was an election week. Election nights are never easy. And even though there were some things to smile about in the midterms earlier this week, there were still a lot of things to be very frustrated about. I personally am used to never being happy after an election. But anyway, with all that said, I was going to have a lighter one for today, sort of have a lighter way to end the week. This is our last stream of the week. We always go Monday through Thursday. So I had a fun segment planned. I'm going to shelf that, and maybe we'll do it next Thursday because it's not a time-sensitive one. It was sort of like an evergreen one. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And some of you guys are bringing up Jeff Sessions. Would love to talk about that later. But as far as starting off today, and again, this was not how I wanted to start off today. But this is what's going on in the news, unfortunately. And a tragedy happened kind of close to me. Over in Thousand Oaks. Ex-Marine Ian David Long identified as suspect. A U.S. Marine Corps veteran with suspected mental health issues killed 12 people in a busy bar in California, including a policeman, officials say. The shooting began at 11:20 or 23:20 local time on Wednesday in Thousand Oaks, which is located about 40 miles northwest of Los Angeles. At least 200 people were reportedly inside the Borderline Bar and Grill, which was hosting a student line dancing night. Police named the suspect as 28-year-old David Long. Earlier this year, police mental health professionals interviewed and cleared him after sheriff deputies found him behaving irate and erratically at his home. Police say the suspect was dressed in black, forced his way into the bar after shooting the bouncer. A college country music night was underway when the suspect apparently threw a smoke grenade before opening fire. Now, police say he legally owned a .45 caliber Glock semi-automatic, which had an extended magazine that is illegal in the state of California, but this guy got his hands on one anyway. They don't really know how many shots were fired. At least 10 people are known to have been wounded, and others are self-reporting with injuries at local hospitals. Popular among students, the bar is close to California Lutheran University. Whew, and here's a list of all the shootings. The worst ones, not all of them, but the worst ones. So that happened right near me last night. And, I was trying to think about this before I signed on to the stream here. Get Your News On with Ron is still a pretty new show. We've been around for less than a year. In our current situation, we've been around about 6 months. And I was trying to think, how many shootings, because the whole premise of the show is nothing's pre-planned. I don't have anything planned in advance. We just kind of base it off of what's going on in the news. And of course, if there's something very breaking and nobody else tweets it at me immediately, I'll go to it, But for the most part, nothing is pre-planned. We just discover news together, and pretty much a lot of this we're finding out together for the first time. And I asked me, I was like, how many shootings in the short period of time this show's been around have we uncovered in real time on the stream together? And there's been at least 3. There's been at least 2 school shootings. I'm pretty sure there was one in Kentucky, and then there was one in California, because that was like real close to where I live. And I remember we discovered that in real time. And now this one. There's others that have happened, of course. The one in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we did not talk about in real time because it happened on a Saturday. We don't stream on Saturdays. And I also think about how just in the time I've been home, I left the country. I was out of the country earlier last month. I got back on October the 26th. Just in the time that I've been home, there have been 2 mass shootings that have been reported on. And there was one that happened shortly before I got back. This is not normal. And no, other countries don't have this. You know, the violence is yeah. Other countries don't have this the way we do. Well, they have knife problems. Yeah, other countries don't have this the way we do. If you want to try to tie it up and put a bow on it and try to make it out like this isn't something uniquely American, you are wrong. You are wrong when it comes to gun violence. And, you know, we talk about solutions, and I feel like we're almost just yelling down a well because we're not going to see... When's the last time you saw a politician seriously talk about gun control? I can honestly say never. I've never seen it in my lifetime. And I don't have much confidence I ever will. Because the NRA has the entire government by the gullet. So I don't think I'll ever see that in my lifetime. I've given up hope that that will ever change. I have no confidence we will ever see any type of common sense gun policy in this country in my lifetime. So as far as what's going to change about this, I don't have an answer. And yeah, I'm not going to bullshit you. Because, you know, if I were less honest, I tell you, we're going to see gun control. But what we got to do is this. No, I don't have any confidence that will happen. I have none. I have none that anything will happen at the federal level. I guess the only glimmer of hope is that something can be done in various states to try to lead a trend. And maybe that will lead to something federal. But even in that case, you know, if some states do and some states don't, you know, people can cross state lines. So I don't know how much. And I'm not saying gun policy would be ineffective. I don't think it would. I think it would be very effective. I think if we did something like Australia did, have a national buyback program, if we did something similar to what Switzerland does and regulate the amount of ammo one can have certain ranges designated, if we made people register firearms the way you have to register a car, if we had classes, if we had references, and legitimate background checks, real background checks. If you served and you have serious PTSD, then yeah, you shouldn't be able to just get a bunch of firearms. And maybe if we didn't have an economy of war, stuff like this wouldn't happen as much either. So let me see what you guys are saying. When will we end this kind of senseless rage? Good question. I don't have an answer for you. Jordan asked this: does anyone else have a lot of friends and family who are Dems, liberals, and did a complete 180 on guns since Trump? Now they are all getting armed. I do think people are a little more scared, and it's made people a little more militant. You know, I've been in progressive circles where people said, and it's tough to blame them, but they see what's going on around us, and they say, learn self-defense. And when you see everything that's going on, I don't blame them. And that's just what you hear about in the press. I'm sure it's way worse than a lot of us realize. And I'm sure it's way worse than I realize. Because I am still a white man in America. Hope is the direct enemy of action. Go Green 2020, says Watson. Balthazar, I asked one of my Australian friends what day she voted on. She said Saturday. Go figure. Gun control weekend votings and no mass shootings since 96. Guns for sex might work. Alright, I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but... David is radical. No logical person I know advocates for a total gun ban. For one, it's impossible, and trying would set off a real civil war too. I agree. Yeah, I agree. A buyback is not a gun ban. Those are two different things. So I don't know if you're referring to me by that comment, but if you are, that's not what I was calling for. Never at any point have I said we should have a total gun ban. for the reason you said. It would lead to a civil war. And yeah, I wish we lived in in a perfect world. I would love to live in a world without guns. I would love that. But, realistic. It's not going to happen. So no, I don't think it's a good idea to just try to outright ban them. I wish I had kind of an optimistic perspective. I really don't. I guess Watson thinks if we all vote green in 2020, guns will go away. It's a nice sentiment. I wish I had that kind of confidence. Or that kind of hope. Let's see. Andrew says the Second Amendment is designed to allow people to revolt against the tyranny of government. Yeah, and it was written a long frickin' time ago when guns were a lot different. And also, I love how we never factor in that well-regulated militia part. We never point out that part. And thank you guys for the Super Chat contributions, by the way. Watson and Balthazar, thank you very, very much for the Super Chat contributions. Much appreciated. We don't even have consistency in arm laws. Balthazar says, guns can be open carry in certain parts of the U.S. Yes, that's true. But you can't have swords, sheathed or unsheathed out. That's right. It's illegal to have a sword. Even at a Renaissance fair. Can't do it there. Yeah, it's pretty... It's a really ridiculous situation to be in. DLJ points this out. I have only ever lived in non-gun countries. UK, Singapore, Malaysia. It's a mindset. Guns are only owned by farmers and criminals. Interesting. Math shootings are one of the pathologies Hedges talks about, says David. Spoiler, it's only going to get worse. Yeah, I think you're right. How depressing is that? As long as this show's been around, there's been 3. And counting. And then, what else can you say? There's already a clip where I gave my, my take on what we need to do, like what we could do that would actually help. I don't feel like repeating it over and over and over again. I just don't. I don't have a desire to do that. Cappuccino Conservative, he says that it's been more than 3. I could think of 3 off the top of my head. I believe you that it's been more, but I could think of 3 off the top of my head that we discovered in real time. There's been more mass shootings. I was saying, how many have we just discovered together on this stream? And I could think of at least 3. And again, there's been more mass shootings, but as far as how many have we discovered on this stream together, I could think of 3. And there may have very well been more. And that's just a scary sentiment. This show's been around for 6 months. A 6-month show that's a live streaming show where we talk about what's going on in the world in real time together, where people build the show and send ideas. We have had 3 mass shootings that have taken front and center. At least 3. I could think of 3. I was thinking about it. I was, getting ready, having my coffee, getting ready to log into the stream, and I was trying to think about it, and I can think of at least 3. But Watson points out there have been 307 mass shootings so far in 2018. Balthazar says, and thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution, I'd even be okay with people owning tanks and playing with any guns as long as it's at a regulated range or hunting zone. Yeah, there's so many things we can do that would kind of make everybody, I don't want to say make everybody happy, because of course there'd be some people that wouldn't be, but that there's so many things we can do that other countries have done that would be effective and would help the situation. A buyback program, references, background checks, exams, ranges, regulation on the amount of ammo you can have. That would be huge. Chris Rock said it years ago. We don't need gun control. We need bullet control. It was a joke. But it's very true. If we had a regulation on ammo where you can only get so much and then you have limitations on the guns you can get, But again, I don't have any confidence in that happening. I wish I did. But I have no confidence in any. I do not believe I will see any common sense gun policy in my lifetime in this country. DLJ, is there a threshold? No, there's not. I don't think. Does anyone think there is? And if you do, here's my question. They came after our children. They're killing our children. Our children are scared to go to school, and nothing's been done. If they're coming after the most vulnerable of our society, our children, if this is affecting our children, and nothing's happened, do you think there's a threshold? No. I don't think there is. If you do, I envy your optimism, and in many ways I admire it. But I can't share it. I mean, I wish there was. I really do. I wish there was. Even with the Ernie ass, even with the Sanders presidency rallying the country, you don't think we can get better gun laws? No. No, I don't, Ernie. No, I don't. I don't think any president would touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think there's a lot of great things we could get, but I don't think gun control will be one of them. They came after our kids. Nothing happened. How many unarmed black people got shot when Obama was president? Nothing happened. And here's a question. There was a... some of you guys are saying if we just vote green, that will help the gun issue somehow. There was a gun proposition on the ballot in California 2 years ago. The Green Party was neutral on it. So, explain that to me. I don't remember all the specifics. I just remember it was in reference to gun ownership, and the Green Party was totally neutral on it. I'm trying to see if anyone has an answer. Not that I'm expecting it. I mean, it's not like this is an answerable question today. It's not like I'm like, why don't you come up with the solution? But I'm saying, I'm trying to see if anyone has, a little more hope than I do. All right. Doesn't look like anyone does. I don't blame you, because I don't have an answer either. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our